In basic economics, the price are supposed to be determined by supply and demand. When demand rises, price increase. When supply rises, prices fall. But oil doesn't behave like a typical commodity. At a glance, oil should be one of the most competitive markets in the world. Global production is close to 100 million barrels per day, and the market size reaches trillions of dollars annually. In theory, a market of this scale should be highly decentralized and driven purely by competition. In reality, it is not. The first reason is concentration on the supply side. A relatively small group of producing countries control a significant portion of global oil output and even larger share of proven reserves. Through coordinated taxation, these producers can influence how much oil enters the market. This coordination is not theoretical, it is institutional. The organization of the petroleum exporting countries, together with key partner countries, regularly adjust the production levels in response to market conditions. When prices fall sharply, and the production can be reduced to support the market. When prices rise too quickly, the supply can be increased to stabilize demand. A clear example occurred in 2020 when global demand collapsed during the pandemic. At one point, demand dropped by nearly 20 million barrels per day. In response, major producers agreed to cut production by roughly 10 million barrels per day, one of the largest coordinated supply reduction in history. This was not a market adjustment, it was a managed intervention. The second reason is the role of financial market. The oil prices are not primarily determined by physical markets, but in future market. The most widely referenced benchmarks, including Brent crude and West Texas intermediaries, are formed through financing trading. This introduces a forward-looking dimension. The prices reflect not only current supply and demand, but expectation about the future. For example, in 2008, strong global growth combined with market expectation pushed oil prices about $140 per barrel. In contrast, during the early phase of the 2080, during the early phase of 2020 pandemic, collapsing demand and storage constraints led to an unprecedented event. United States oil future briefly traded at negative prices. This was not because oil had no value, but because the system of pricing was tied to financial contracts and physical storage limitation. The third reason is geopolitics. Oil is deeply embedded in global power structures. Sanctions, conflicts, political decisions can all affect supply. For instance, restrictions on Iranian and Venezuela exports have removed significant volume from the global market. Changes in Russian energy flows have reshaped trade patterns across Europe and Asia. Even the perception of risk can influence prices. Tensions in key regions can lead to immediate price movements even before any physical disruption occurs. The fourth reason is infrastructure and logistics. Oil must be transported, stored, and refined. Bottlenecks in any part of this chain can affect pricing. Limited storage capacity was one of the key factors behind the negative price event in 2020. And similarly, disruption in shipping routes or refining capacity can create a regional imbalance between supply and demand. If we bring these elements together, a more complex picture emerges. Oil prices are not determined by a single mechanism. They are shaped by the interaction of supply coordination, financial market, and geopolitical factors and physical infrastructures. In this sense, oil is not just a commodity, it is a system where economics, politics, and finance interests. Oil is not priced by market alone, it is shaped by structural coordination and power. If oil is not just a commodity, but also a financial and political instrument, then the next question becomes even more fundamental. Why is oil treated primarily in United States dollars? And how does this relationship shape the global financial system? In the next episode, we will explore the link between oil and the dollar.